Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the Wrestling Inc. podcast. I'm Glenn Rubenstein. This is our Monday Night Raw recap episode for September 12th, 2016, and I am joined, as always, by Wrestling Inc.'s own Raj Giri, and, of course, Matt Morgan. Matt, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, guys, doing great. Sorry about last night. I'm looking forward to tonight, though, to redeem myself.
Raj, how's your evening going? Good time watching Raw, I'm assuming, just by that satisfied look on your face. Actually, if you can't look at it, Raj looks kind of just sort of beaten down.
I am beaten down. It's still another night to go. And this was a long night. Great main event, but long night up until that.
Yeah, so of course, last night was SmackDown's first pay-per-view. If you want to go back and listen to that with Raj, Matt Morgan, and Vince Russo, of course, you can check that podcast
just
out.
Vince. Matt had technical difficulties last night.
Make it. So Raj and Vince.
That's what she said.
Nice. Well, I'll definitely have to listen to that later. And that just means more Russo. So you can't go wrong with that, right?
Yeah.
But let's jump into Monday Night Raw and talk about what happened tonight. Now I know I talked about last week being a very soap opera-ish Raw, but did it strike you guys just at the start where they were like, previously on Monday Night Raw? Like I felt like you mentioned like Melrose Place last week, Raj. I felt like I was watching an episode of the OC or something, here. I mean, this was just so soapy, that intro.
Yeah, I mean, there's ways you can do that without, giving it more of a sports feel than a soap opera feel, and I'd much prefer the sports feel.
Yeah, it was something. So, of course, we had to look back at Owens winning with the assist from Triple H. Again, everything that happened with Roman Reigns, the announcement of the main event tonight, which would turn the match at Clash of the Champions into a triple threat if Reigns were to beat Kevin Owens. But we went to the ring. Mick Foley had the mic, started by congratulating, obviously, Becky Lynch on being the first SmackDown Women's Champion last night at Backlash, and then used that as a segue to talk about the women's action in the WWE on Monday Night Raw. Brought out Charlotte and Dana Brooke. We saw their relationship continue to disintegrate in front of our eyes. And then brought out Sasha and Bayley to talk about the match Clash of the Champions. A little disagreement between, Bayley and Sasha over who should get the shot at Charlotte at that pay-per-view. Turned into a triple threat match between Bayley, Sasha, and Dana Brooke, with Bayley taking the pin for a Sasha victory, sending her on to Clash of the Champions. Matt, I'll go to you first. What do you think about the further developments of this angle, perhaps setting up a future conflict between Bayley and Sasha, and just where they're going with all this?
It's so convoluted. Again, they're trying to fit 10 pounds of crap in a 5-pound bag again. And unfortunately, as you saw, something that got a good reaction, and they had to step on the reaction by the crowd because they were trying too much to jam too much in that one segment, was the slap heard around the world. The fans were ready for that, and I thought they should have waited a little bit longer to do that. They just threw it out there. They threw it away, got a great reaction, and they weren't able to do anything and catch in on it. That should have been a separate segment on itself. And this is what they've always done with the girls and the females, or the women, I'd rather say, in wrestling. They've always just combined everything into one. 6-man tags, things like that. This was no different, just in the promo sense, and it was frustrating on that end. Everybody did their part, obviously. They did the best what they could with what they were given. That's really about it. We'll get into the match, I'm sure, but just for the record, I want to throw it out there that was a double pin, and I don't know why no one else was talking about that. That was not a pin. If you go back and watch Sasha on Bayley, Sasha's shoulders were on the ground.
I said that too in the comment section during the show. I agree. I thought that's what it was going to lead to, because that's how they always build to these triple threat matches, is doing a double pin. I'll say this: I thought Charlotte was really good on the mic. She's just getting great on the mic as a heel. I thought Stephanie McMahon took over her body there when she was dressing down Dana Brooke. I know Stephanie would have been proud, but the problem is they've done this this fake banter between Charlotte and Dana, and it just turns out to be a ruse. And Dana's really helping Charlotte. And they've just done it so many times that and they just did it again. It just lost all effectiveness. I mean, the next time they tease it, it's got to be a real break, because they've just teased that too many times. They've cried wolf once too often. But I thought it was good for a change to have the women out in the opening promo, and
That's true.
But once we get to the match, that's where I had my problems.
Right.
Well, I thought what was interesting is that they built up, now in this new era, Sasha and Bayley having this friendship, but kayfabe, they've never really explained that, right? I mean, we're just sort of meant to assume that this is like the end of the Karate Kid, and Johnny now respects Daniel because he tried so hard and beat him, so now they're cool.
We're all supposed to know it happened on NXT, is what we're supposed to all know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because definitely they had a very heated conflict in all their NXT matches. But now it's interesting to me that they're setting the seeds for them to battle again. Although it was interesting that they didn't really focus on that. They had a little interplay during the triple threat, but when they went to commercial, it was kind of like that scene in the 1980 version of Flash Gordon, when it's like Flash and Prince Baron have to fight and they both look at each other like, I don't know, what do you want to do? And they kind of start to go along with it. I thought it seemed like they need to almost build that up more if they're going to have them.
There was no reaction to it if you guys listened as they went to commercial break. Thank God they went to commercial break.
Yeah, because I don't think they built the groundwork for that again,
Nope.
I mean, it seemed like Sasha was like, "Excuse me, Bayley," with all due respect. I mean, that was not the start of reseeding the feud. I mean, they were very, very polite in their disagreement. But I think we saw a glimpse of what perhaps the direction it could go in the future. I mean, Matt, what did you think of the match itself?
They're all money in the ring. What's there to say? Little things. If they were watching this right now, like, who am I to be talking about? Like, in-ring technique and crap. I was a big man, but nonetheless, there's little things that I would say to the girls, like Bayley rolling out of the way for the double knee gimmick in the corner that Sasha does. You've got to hit. Sasha's got to hit that double stacker before you roll out of the way and make it mean more. Like, that should have gotten a better reaction than it did. But it was the first time that I'd ever seen her try to do that on Raw TV. She's done it in NXT a bunch of times. But not to the Raw crowd. It wasn't established yet on hitting both girls at one time and being innovative. It would have been innovative enough if she had hit it. Just little things like that. There's not much to say about it because the girls are phenomenal in the ring, all three of them, especially the first two, I should say.
I do think they're overdoing the suplex powerbomb spot, in these triple threat matches. I feel like every triple threat match.
Night.
Yeah, they just did last night. I thought. I think this is Dana Brooke's best match since she's been on the main roster. I mean, it's like Dean Ambrose had a great match last night, but that was really because of AJ.
Yes.
So this was really because of Sasha and Bayley, and they just worked great together. I know wins and losses don't really matter to people anymore, but I don't think Bayley should be getting pinned this early on in, especially when you had Dana Brooke in the match anyway.
Yeah.
You could have just had her take the pin. But having Bayley pinned so early, it just drives me nuts.
Oh, but Raj, it sets the seeds between Sasha and Bayley. Nobody cares. Exactly,
but and I think that's part of the reason nobody cares is because they keep beating these people right off the bat. But yeah, I don't. Obviously, it appears like the double pin wasn't the plan. But hopefully they use that as an angle next week. But I don't want it to lead to a one-on-one between Sasha and Bayley, and Bayley gets beat again. So I'd almost rather they don't do nothing than do that.
I thought it was interesting though. I think to your point earlier, Matt, they definitely are sort of throwing away and like wasting this opportunity with the Dana Charlotte thing. I think they could have built that a little more and better to where you could have a Dana Charlotte match in the future that people would really care about. But I feel like they're kind of rushing that right now, and kind of like you guys are saying, there's like all this stuff going on at once in this interplay between the four, and I think either split them up into 2 and 2 and do solid concrete storylines with proper builds and development, as opposed to trying to crisscross zigzag and have us follow it along and care.
Yeah, but whoever gets the feud with Dana is really getting the short end of the stick there.
Yeah, well, what are you going to do?
And I'll tell you exactly how they think. I'll tell you 100% how WWE thinks about this. They've already got their other woman's angle with what's Rock's niece's name or whatever her name.
Nia Jax.
Nia Jax. That's their other woman's storyline because that's how they think. Still, no matter what they're talking about, this women's movement, yada yada, revolution. That's what they think. There's not enough. They don't think enough of them to have 3 to 4 different angles between the women. And I hate to break it to them, they do.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, and it'll be interesting. I mean, do you guys think just pure speculation that if Paige sorts out her business and comes back, if Emma comes back, I mean, will there even be enough room, or would they be better served to go to SmackDown?
There's more than enough room. You got like 6 women on each side, so When you have a division built around a roster that small, there's more than enough room.
Yeah, I don't know. On SmackDown, I mean, how are they going to keep doing these 6 women tag matches if there are 8 women on the SmackDown roster?
I hate to break it to the guys. Pick your damn game up or get off TV because I'd rather see them. You just said it right there. I forgot all about her, in her contract situation. Like, I love watching her work.
Yeah, well, that's what I've been expecting. I think Paige, when she comes back, I'm hoping it's a surprise that she'll get a huge pop at this point, given all the speculation. I think she's been gone and under the radar long enough. But anyhow, moving on to what happened. We got the aftermath from that with Dana and Charlotte continuing the drama backstage. Dana carrying Charlotte's bag, or rolling Charlotte's bag, as it were. And then we had a backstage segment with everybody's favorite, yours and mine, the Shining Stars. And I actually have to give them credit for this, because if anyone were going to buy a timeshare, I absolutely believe R-Truth is the guy. I'd be like, this makes a lot of sense. Oh, I'm saving a ton of money vacationing this way. And of course, before he could give the payment to the Shining Stars, Enzo and Cass interrupted it. I think the most notable thing about this little vignette, for me actually laughing and thinking the Shining Stars played a role in something entertaining, R-Truth did a Little Jimmy reference. It had been a while. He talked about bringing Little Jimmy with him to Puerto Rico. I don't remember when the last one was, but that was kind of almost throwback at this point. What'd you guys think of the segment?
I haven't found an R-Truth segment entertaining since that time he walked out when they were setting up the Money in the Bank match like a couple years ago, or like a few years ago, and he wasn't in the match. I don't know. He's way too over the top, corny, in these comedy spots for me to get into it.
So what you're saying is you really appreciate his work as a rapper. That's really how you see him.
He's a much better rapper than a comedian.
Songwriter, artist, really, I think is the word.
I liked him when he was a heel back in the day. I thought he did some great stuff, but with the stuff with Goldust, it's just I can't. Just the WWE comedy lately is just it doesn't work for me.
That's their Santino spot filler. Look, that they put them in. It sucks. I'm not even gonna comment on it.
I like that. That's the Matt Morgan version of protest. It's like I'm taking a knee when we talk about the matches that I choose not to recognize them. So then we had Tom Phillips, of course, backstage with Kevin Owens, giving an interview about the night, what was to come in his match with Roman Reigns. Chris Jericho shows up and announces that Sami Zayn is going to be the guest on the highlight reel later in the show. But then we came back to what was interesting again, Bo Dallas.
I was going to say this real quick about that backstage segment. When Jericho said "shh," I thought Tom Phillips was going to say "it," and I was like, "Wow, they're going to go PG-13 on this one." But alas, they didn't do it. But that backstage segment I thought was great. I think anytime you have and we'll get to Owens promo later in the night, but Jericho, the only thing is he's great at the comedy, but he's doing it so much that it's not. He seems less and less like a main event heel and more like an upper mid card comedic heel when he can easily be a main event heel.
I was starting to feel that way. I was, but at the end of the Zayn segment tonight, which we'll get into, he pulled it back when he needed to, and that's all that matters is he's able to do that, and he's been there for so long. I give him that. I don't know if that's the respect I give him, or it's just me as a fan reacting, going, okay, I'm sucked back in that this could be a bad you-know-what type of villain when he wants to be, when the games and shenanigans are done with,
That's a good point, yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and he is one of the rare, WWE superstars to leave the WWE, have a decent amount of work as an entertainer and come back. I mean, that's not a long list, of those that left, did work outside of their ecosystem. It's not like all he did was, episodes of Swerved in WWE Studios films. So I think Jericho's skills really, are much needed. Again, and compare him to some of the other attempts at, we'll call it comedy, that they have there. I think Jericho just does an A1 job every time. So what did you think, Matt, about this Bo Dallas versus Brandon Scott, who I'm assuming, local wrestler. What do you think about this Bo Dallas? Do we even call it a push at this point?
No, it's honestly what Stephanie would call this is sink or swim moment. I've had it. I've been wrestlers had this point that you get to where they're like, hey, it's sink or swim, meaning we'll give you some matches that you're going to go over in and you're going to look like a beast in, and it's up to you to take that and make something out of it, really. And that's what they're doing with him right now. And it's annoying because here's my one question. I'm going to go 180 on this. Why in the blue hell are we not taking that kid who is talented as hell? He was aggressive as hell tonight. I loved how aggressive he was. And why are they not doing anything with his brother? How hard is that to book?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Do you guys just want to throw your money away on this guy and just get minimum return? Because how hard? What a great story it would be between Bray trying to make his squeaky clean brother into this,
That would be great.
It'd be very cool. It'd be play to Bray's strengths, the Jake the Snake type psychology he would be doing in these promos with him. It'd be awesome.
So
that would be great.
I'm only up to mid 2013 in my big NXT Full Sail years rewatch, and I did see the interplay there between Bo and Bray. But in kayfabe, have they ever acknowledged that they're brothers?
Just in their full tag team there back in the day at FCW, I remember, and they're FCW champions.
No, never on the main roster.
But never main roster.
Someone's pointing out that Bo has more wins than Bray this year.
That might be right.
I think that might be right. Singles, man. With Bo, it's like I don't see how you can take it seriously when he's coming out doing the leaping Lanny Poffo gimmick and doing the poem. And then, he's got the silly, the Bo Dallas campaign signs, and then you're supposed to take him as this, this beast once the match starts. And just with his outfit, like if you had just turned the TV on and didn't really follow wrestling, and you were supposed to pick the jobber,
oh man,
you'd have a hard time. The only reason you'd probably pick the other guy is because he's shorter. But other than that, their presentation, he doesn't look like a star with how he's presented right now. I'm not saying he can't be, just right now he's not. And I'm
sorry, Raj.
Go ahead.
You know what's crazy? Back in those FCW days, he was the one who was supposed to be the bigger star.
Yeah, he was the NXT champion.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And it's just, though, Raj, that makes me think that with the current generation of young wrestling fans, you could do a great game showing them videotape of Spot the Jobber. Which one's the jobber in this match? Yeah. See if you can guess. But and with Bo.
And if you're gonna steal Lanny Poffo gimmicks, at least take the genius. Don't take the poet one. The leaping Lanny Poffo one.
Yeah.
It's just so awkward and so weird. And, it's rare because, look, I think Sheamus is a really pasty guy and that works for him. I think there's some guys in the business who are too tan. But with Bo, like, tonight looking at him, I mean, he just looked, like, pale as can be, like almost stricken by scurvy. I know you can't really put on heavy amounts of foundation when going out to the ring, but, I mean, he looked almost gaunt and jaundiced tonight, I thought. Maybe it was just the color setting on my TV, but I don't know. I mean, and Matt, with you're saying your point about sink or swim, that makes me wonder if, behind this, given his detainment and arrest a few weeks ago, if he's actually nervous about this because this is his make or break, his break or break moment.
His work and his body language tells me he's not. He was incredibly aggressive tonight.
Yeah.
They're letting it fly. I don't know why he sold at all tonight, but who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I would say I'm morbidly curious to see where this angle goes. I'm watching it because I'm like, I can't imagine this is, God, thank God, Braun didn't have his match tonight, but it's like, we were talking about this last week. You can't have, can you have 3 squashes on a 3-hour show? Just like, let's just do it.
It wasn't even a squash. He sold.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know what I mean?
Shit came through the ropes.
But with a no-name jobber, I think is what he means. Like,
yeah. Pardon me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just think if you're going to do it for the right talent. But, with Bo, I think you could have started off, we've given it too much time. Let's go on.
Yeah. This segment has gone on longer than the actual match if you go back and watch it. So we come back from that and we had the highlight reel. With Chris Jericho talking up his best friend, Kevin Owens, and then bringing out his former best friend, Sami Zayn. You all can guess how that went if you didn't watch the episode. But Matt, let's go to you first. What did you think about the segment and where they're leading towards at the end, which is going to be Jericho versus Zayn at Clash of the Champions?
I loved every single bit of it. Every part of it from the beginning, from Jericho getting down on the mat to demonstrate literally how low on the totem pole Zayn was. And sometimes I always, worry about that. When I was a heel, I'd make sure I would not bury my opponent to that extent. You don't want to bury him that much. You want to build him up. But where Chris is going with this is obviously going to build him up. He's got a freaking pay-per-view match now versus Chris Jericho. This is exactly what we've been talking about that we need for Sami Zayn. one of these up-and-coming baby faces that they need to get into fifth gear already. Stop this second and third gear back and forth crap. Let's go put him in fifth gear. And him versus Chris Jericho is fifth gear. And at a pay-per-view, no less. I think it's going to be a good match. I think it's going to help Sammy get to that next, right before that next notch he needs to get to. And it gets him on TV in a major angle versus somebody very important. He looked comfortable on the mic tonight. He gets a little too smarmy for my taste, though, as a babyface. He's got to watch that. He gets a little too wise-assy, where I would just want to punch him in the face. And he's supposed to be a sympathetic babyface. He's got to watch that. I'm not saying he's got to be nerdy, but don't try to out-cool Chris Jericho. There's no reason to. Yeah. Take the sympathy while you can, while he's browbeating you.
Yeah, I agree. I thought this was fantastic. This and the main event were the best things on the show by far. Jericho was great. I thought Sami Zayn was really good.
He was comfortable
in that he didn't seem like he didn't belong. And
yes.
It's like what you said, Matt. This is a feud that could take him to that next level. I hadn't even thought of it of a Sami and Chris Jericho feud a couple weeks ago, but it makes complete sense right now. And it's something that could do wonders for Sami. And Jericho has shown when he can put his creative input into things. Like the Shawn Michaels was one of the best wrestling angles the last 10 years.
Yeah.
When he is invested in an angle, it could be great. And so hopefully they give them time. Hopefully this isn't a one and done and it goes on and Jericho has some input and it goes somewhere. But yeah, I thought this was awesome.
Yeah, no, I love the combination of the two of them. Jericho, funny as always, and Sami Zayn. I love how a French-Canadian guy of Syrian descent sometimes comes across to me like more of a New York Jew than most New York Jews that I know. It is no surprise to me that his favorite show growing up that he watched nonstop was Seinfeld, and I think that's what you're talking about with the smarminess that comes through. And I think that's where you can have a good heel turn in the future. Is that Larry David-esque, like just let's back up a minute and focus on this one thing you said. Like he just doesn't know when to shut up. And just goes on a little too long. But love Sami Zayn and love that they found something to do with him that's going to get him a good spot on the pay-per-view. Especially.
Can I just say?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I keep cutting you all off. I apologize. The hat thing. Cut that out. Sammy, I'm begging you if you watch this, which you're not. Do not do that. It's corny. All right.
Yeah, and especially since Vince Russo's been making the cab driver jokes, but it's stuck. Like that's all I could think about when he's wearing that hat.
I think he's got to go out and sell newspapers on a street corner, But they're selling the hats now on WWE Shop. When those go on clearance, I'm going to pick one up just cause.
Anybody above 12 years old, if I see you wearing those, I will carbon footprint your lips off your face.
I'll see if they can get me one by next Monday's show. I mean, that's the majority of stuff they merchandise, though, right? I mean, look, like we buy this stuff because we like it or it makes us laugh or makes us smile. Nobody buys a piece of wrestling merchandise because they think it's going to make them look cool, or at least not cool to anyone that's not.
Yes, my NWO shirts were badass back in the day.
And my Macho Man shirt still gets likes. So.
Actually, I've got a younger brother that wears his DX shirt around because he thinks that it's rebellious. But again, to us, it is. To the general public, it's like. It's this dude going around telling people to suck it. Like,
I still wear that to the gym. Shut up.
And that's the appropriate place to wear wrestling wear. So we came back from that segment. Okay, so with Sheamus versus Cesaro, everyone I'm sure knows this, and they mentioned it on the show. We did not see match 4. Much as we discussed last week, match 4 happened at the O2 Arena in London. And as predicted, Cesaro got his win. It keeps him in the game. What did you guys think of tonight of match 5 and Cesaro's win over Sheamus? Matt, I'll go to you first.
I'm just going to throw to Raj on this. I thought it was good. I texted Raj my thoughts leading into the match. And it was good. They're always well executed between these two guys. They're both pros. I can't say enough good things about the two guys themselves. They're stuck in a crappy situation, and I can't keep repeating that enough.
Yeah, it's never been can these guys have a good match. They keep having them over and over. It's just, is it something you want to see over, every week? I wouldn't mind if they had a couple more of these at live events and then you went straight to the final. But, it was a good match. And the weird thing was that Cesaro used the feet on the ropes, which I like that spot. I thought it was, a good way for, but I thought it was weird that all of the announcers justified it. Like they're all like, oh well, that's what you do. Even though two of them, I don't know. at least the heel one or the two baby faces, someone should have said he pulled one out or he cheated, but I thought that was just kind of strange. But the match itself was fine.
Yeah, I like this idea, though, that I feel like we see a lot of this repetitive booking and the same guys fighting every week. So from now on, let's just call it a best-of-7 series. And at least that way, maybe it'll be over before 7 actual matches. I think these guys have a great match in them. I'm hoping 7, we see it. But I feel like, we've talked about this before. When you see something this much, it's not special. And I know they're trying to build the drama and the story. But I don't know. I feel like... literally now it's just the same thing.
Well, I think it would be more special if they sold the championship title shot aspect of it more. If they did backstage segments with Owens or just where they give each other a glance or something to show what's on the line. But you almost forget that there's a title shot, at stake for the winner.
What's the appropriate number of matches to prove who is definitively the better fighter? Matt, I'll ask you first. Is it 7?
Time out. This is horrible. Hold up. I've been watching every one of these except for the house show match. That Cesaro first one. This has title implications.
Oh yeah, one of them gets a title shot.
Yeah. You gotta be kidding.
They say it in passing, but yeah, that's true.
I've not missed an episode. I've somehow missed that.
It could be the U.S. title. This might not be like the big one.
Yeah, they actually never said WWE Championship. They just said a title opportunity. Okay. And Cesaro said
maybe they'll bring back the Hardcore Championship. Maybe it'd be the European Championship. Actually, European would be fitting,
But regardless, you can push that aspect of it more and make it seem like there's something really on the line.
Absolutely.
Yep. Right.
But is 7 the number? Is 7 the number where it proves you didn't get the better of me once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times you kick my ass, you're the better fighter?
To Glenn, answer your question in one sentence, this is a holding pattern. That's what this is.
I want to believe that everything has significance, Matt. If it doesn't have significance, I just can't get invested. I want to believe.
That's what the writers look at this as.
Raj?
I got nothing else. I'm ready to move on.
So let's talk about next. Now, Matt, I know you were not looking forward to this development. You're not as excited about this as I was, but we saw Alicia Fox versus Nia Jax, an actual match. Yeah, and Alicia, it went on for a minute or two. I think she lasted longer than CM Punk did, but she did get destroyed. And obviously, this is I think leading to something fuller, that we're going to see Alicia come back and maybe a more realized match between the two. But Matt, did this do anything for you? Did this make you?
Yeah, I did. I did like it. I liked it for Nia Jax. I loved that one spot. That's all that needed to happen tonight was that. That's what that build was for. And they executed it, and she looked like a beast. Her outfit is the drizzling.
Oh, you know what? God.
And she's got to get rid of it. I don't know what to do with her, what you do with her, but that's not the outfit for her.
She looks like she just got back from yoga class. But that beatdown was something like that. She gave Alicia Fox. I think that was the most brutal beatdown I've seen. From a heel female on the WWE main roster, and I can't remember the last time you had one like that. So, props to Alicia Fox for taking that pounding, but man, that was Nia looked awesome there.
You got to think with Alicia, they were like, "Hey, look, we're keeping you under contract as a Total Divas. You're going to do, a handful of matches. You're going to get hurt really bad, but you're earning it all right here in these 2 minutes. This is your ring time on TV."
I think they're doing it right. Like she's someone with a name, and it's taken Nia to the next level.
Yeah. No, and I'll be curious to see if it continues with Alicia going forward. But we went from that to the New Day coming out. And let me start before we talk about the match itself between Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson versus Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. Now, with this match, one thing that was very interesting is that the announcers officially retired it. I know we'd speculated this before, that the club, quote unquote, is over, and now it's Gallows and Anderson because this is how they've been referred to. But tonight was, I think, the first time the announcer said, "Oh, Gallows and Anderson were part of this short-lived faction called the Club with AJ Styles." Past tense. Did you guys pick up on that tonight and think that's significant at all?
Yeah, they haven't really been calling them the Club since the draft.
Yeah, but they haven't really, I think, referred to it sort of past tense. I think a lot of people online still have been. But let's talk about the other notable thing, which is that the New Day coming out and like referencing how terrible that segment with Gallows and Anderson was last week. I mean, it's rare that a comedy segment or attempted comedy segment bombs so bad that it gets referenced not only by them but by the announcers. I mean, do you guys think that they're retiring sort of comedy or comedy bits for a while with with Gallows and Anderson?
No, well, maybe,
maybe temporarily. That doesn't mean anything. It's not like they signed their death warrant here because it is.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't necessarily all Gallows and Anderson. I mean, it was
it's
everything
about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you know what was really funny? This was like the first time I laughed in a New Day segment in a while. Was when they're like, okay, we're going to roll that footage. And then they're like, gotcha.
Because I sit through a lot of New Day segments, and I love all three dudes in that. I know all three personally. And I struggle watching a lot of their segments, because they're on so much, and they're doing the same shtick over and over. It gets played out for me. Yeah, exactly. So they're not ones to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I still think I'll take the New Day and Jon Stewart any day over what Gallows and Anderson did last week. I'm not saying it's better. It's just less bad.
Yeah, I would say that though the match itself was pretty good. It's clear that they treat Kofi and Xavier as kind of the weak version of the New Day. You know what I mean? Like they're the ones that always lose. It's never when Big E is in. But I thought the match itself was good, but the crowd didn't seem that into it.
Yeah, Matt, what'd you think?
I thought the announcers did a great job. The demolition reference, transitioning it from being the longest reigning tag champions of all time into Gallows and Anderson being like Demolition, Access Smash, super aggressive, no nonsense. The games are done with. Once the bell sounds, they're bad. What's, and they worked like that tonight. They did. They definitely worked with a purpose tonight. A little bit more aggressive. I liked it a lot. I loved what they brought tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're saying though, that Matt, that definitely goes along with it, right? The idea that they're saying like Gallows and Anderson, they're really good in the ring, guys. Let's forget about that whole thing last week and let's focus on how awesome in the ring they are.
And that works way better,
Yeah. No, I agree. But I really hope post Clash of the Champions we shake things up a little bit again because I feel like New Day and the club, or not New Day and Gallows and Anderson rather.
But with who? The Shining Stars, like who is there right now?
I mean, but what are you gonna do?
You got to make a team up or something.
The Ascension is sitting in the locker room, probably hanging out with Golden Truth.
They're on SmackDown.
Is Ascension? No, the Vaudevillains are on SmackDown.
Man, the Ascension is too.
Are they? Yeah. I'll look this up when we talk about the next thing. But yeah, with no Dudleys, it really that's to me what was definitely missing. Now, we came back from this. Of course, they were hyping up the cruiserweights are coming to Raw next week. And then we came back to a different spin on this of Jinder Mahal versus Jack Swagger. How to best explain this? So the idea was that Jinder, they kept saying, what was this thing? Jinder's found peace, made peace, a man at peace.
Is it?
Yeah. They were phrasing this as a new angle for Jinder. Jack Swagger came out. Jinder won. I don't know. This whole thing. I go from being like confused during these segments to feeling like a little offended. I'm not sure for who or on whose behalf, but it's like it's to me the whole thing's uncomfortable. Matt, is this going anywhere with the Jinder Mahal Jack Swagger?
It's something. We were just complaining, guys, all of us, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. Jinder Mahal comes back, looks like $1 million in his street clothes. They throw him with Heath Slater and remind us again.
Street clothes.
Yeah, he does. Fantastic. He looked like a movie star, I thought. Yeah. But we were reminded again, this dude was a jobber because they paired him with his other jobber partner at the time. And it was stupid way to reintroduce him. And so Vince, the way he thinks is that I tell these fans what to think and what they're going to think. And they're going to forget about everything. Because tonight, guess what? This is your new gimmick. This is your new character. And this is all that matters. And that's what that was. We watched him come out and we all had to pretend we didn't remember anything about his past. They did a good job of trying to explain why he's doing what he's doing with the whole peace thing, obviously, to a degree within one promo. But at least it was something. At least he's a character now. And it's something. Jack Swagger's reaction, though, in his entrance, again, he's still getting reaction. What the freak, WWE? Unless something's going on with him that I'm unaware of.
He's not. I don't know if he's getting the reaction or just the catchphrase, just the catchphrase, the "We the People," because the crowd shuts up as soon as he says that.
2 or 3 times a match. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, I think this was Jinder Mahal's second ever televised win, with his first being over Heath Slater. I don't know. When they talk about the brand split bringing, all these opportunities, and, you are seeing guys like AJ Styles now as the WWE champion, but you're seeing a lot more of people you don't really care to see at the same time.
Rhino, Heath Slater. Sorry.
Well, for me, it's Jack Swagger, Jinder, Shining Stars, Bo Dallas. The list goes on, and once you throw in SmackDown, I think I'm going to take a little left turn here real quick, and I just think I mentioned in this comment section that it's time to raid NXT and really start to give these rosters some depth because they don't have any. And it showed last night with the SmackDown pay-per-view, which was basically a one-match show. Yep. It's time to bring Nakamura, Samoa Joe, Bobby Roode, Austin Aries. I mean, yes, it wrecks the NXT roster, but they're drawing 300 people a night on the weekends,
No, more than that. More than 300. They're doing,
some are doing like 100, like the ones in Fort Pierce and.
Yeah. But that's not the ones that they're sending out.
Yeah, but still, that's chunk change compared to the millions that are watching every week.
I don't know. They just established it as a brand.
Yes, but it's for people that already have the WWE network. This is for millions and millions of people worldwide, and it's affecting the bulk of the live event business, the network subscriptions. I mean, everything. You can still have these guys show up at TakeOver, work TVs or whatever. At least Nakamura, since he's the champ, and do it like Kevin Owens did. Hold the NXT title while being on the main roster, and eventually lose it. But these rosters are so shallow right now that they need to do something. They need to add real stars as opposed to bringing up failed, gimmicks, that haven't worked many times over, and just putting them back on TV.
Yeah, I don't know. This whole thing, I know we talked about this before about sort of the lazy stereotypes, the nationalistic sense of like when we do this, USA chant and whatnot. I think the thing that bothers me with Jinder is they know that it's getting almost incorrect heat. With the USA chants and what they're portraying with this. It's not like Americans, by and large, have a problem with Sikh Indians of Canadian descent. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's not how they're reacting in this.
Yeah,
and
it's like when they would have,
offensive.
like with Japanese wrestlers and have them talk about egg rolls and stuff like that. Yeah. Whereas like every Asian was kind of the same, is how they would treat them. And yeah, it did kind of look like they're trying to give them a look of a more dark,
and of peace. What do people say about Islam? Islam is a religion of peace.
Yeah, exactly.
They lifted that tonight. That's the thing. And, I put up with, as wrestling fans, we put up with a lot of crap, right? And very little offends us because if stuff offended us, we wouldn't be able to watch the show, on its best weeks. But I think with this, I think it's a step too far, in terms of just, I don't know. I mean, like, they don't need to go for this cheap of heat. You know what I mean? I mean, with Rusev and the Russian thing, fine. But Rusev, it kind of works that they've fleshed out this angle with him. With Jinder, I think they know, hey, we put out a guy in a turban and in the middle of America, and a lot of the crowd's just going to boo. It's literally, it's that type of math, and that is what I think is just offensive to us as viewers, insulting our intelligence.
Now, while that's true, and I agree, it's lazy booking, it's lazy creative. That said, like we're far past that in 2016. You're right.
Yeah. That
said, then don't react.
Yeah.
But and I'm sorry, until the crowd stops chanting USA.
I know.
And until they stop booing a guy just because, like you said, had a turban on his head and was talking about peace, and we boo him.
I can't
wait. What does that say about us?
I know.
Like,
I can't wait.
Honestly.
Till they're in the Bay Area next month. I'm going to be there for Monday Night Raw in Oakland, and the audience is going to be more guys that look like Jinder than,
hey, man.
You better cheer him. You better cheer him then, Glenn.
Wow. Jinder's gonna blow the lid off that place. If they put him out there then.
Hey man, I'm of Indian descent. I'm not cheering Jinder, but I do see like it could lead to less educated people, getting heat from less educated people and that hatred easy. And it does seem like sometimes that's where they want to go.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I'm going to complain to the FCC so Bixen Span can pull the records later, but I think doing this on September 12th is just like a little messed up.
Oh my God, I'm horrible. I didn't even pick up on that, Glenn. I'm the worst.
I'm just saying, like, you can get away with a lot in my book. I'll put up with that, but with this, I'm just like, oh, it's just a little too far. I don't know. I don't, maybe I'm overreacting, but that's just my take on it. But let's move on and talk about the Shining Stars, Epico versus Enzo Amore. And again, the Shining Stars, Epico gets a win over Enzo. This might be more offensive, to be honest. Forget everything I just said. This actually probably offends me even more than that.
Well, it's like I said last week, they have nothing to do with these guys, so they're building a big cast in Enzo, versus the Shining Stars feud for the pay-per-view. And, there's so much more steam on Enzo and Big Cass that I guess the way they feel like to build it, they just have to keep beating Enzo. And Enzo's always the one, taking the pins. But it's too bad because they were just starting to build some steam with Big Cass too, and like it was looking like he could be a player. And just to demote him down to this when they need stars, you got Jack Swagger and Jinder Mahal in the segment before. Man.
You're right. No, you're right. You should be offended by Ultimate Warrior Rick Rude Bobby Heenan finish.
Yeah.
Is what they went with, the suplex over the rope and
the WrestleMania 5.
Yeah, yes, yes, I was offended by that.
Yeah.
They use it on these guys. No, I'm joking. I love watching Enzo. That's all I could say. I love watching him. He's entertaining as hell, and the backstage was a little bit different for me tonight. They're pre-tape. I was wondering because Zoe is someone that definitely feeds off the crowd, sometimes a little too much. But tonight he did his shtick backstage, and I thought it hit pretty well. He's talented as hell. I don't know what I know. Big Cass is tall, and I know he's impressive looking, yada yada yada. But I still think Zoe is money. I don't know what because of his build or what, but I don't know. I just think he's money. I love watching him.
I agree. I mean, we're complaining about Enzo losing, right? But in reality, Epico is actually the better wrestler. Like in the ring, Epico is way better.
Yes.
But because Enzo is so entertaining and so charismatic, it's just by default you feel like he should be winning, and he should be.
But Epico, Enzo,
at least in the end.
But Enzo, I mean, he spent better part of 2 years in NXT just taking beatdowns because he sells it so well. And Cass coming in and doing cleanup on the tag matches. So I mean, in that sense, it works for me. But I like to see the victory, but I have to say, to your point, Matt, Enzo backstage, I mean, I think of all the guys currently on the roster, what in the hell is Dolph Ziggler doing headlining a WWE Studios film? They need to get Enzo. I mean, to me, he's got the most potential.
I don't know if he's movie star. I mean, I think he's great what he does.
You'd have to be very careful with what you put him in, obviously.
Yeah. But I think he could do comedy. He'd be a strong supporting role. I mean, look, they
don't need him off of TV right now, so I'm absolutely against that.
And there's a difference between a very good reactor versus a very good actor. Miz is a good actor. I'm sure Dolph was a good actor. I didn't see his movie. Zoe is a fantastic reactor. You know what I mean? On the fly, things off the top of his head, and just go, not sitting there memorizing a script and playing some G.I. Joe character.
No, absolutely. But remember, WWE Studios put the Funkasaurus in a film and gave him a credible supporting role that he actually got good notices for. I'm saying with Enzo, I think, there's more they can do with him. And for God's sakes, WWE Studios, stop making movies where the lead character's in some sort of military or law enforcement. I know you have access to one great HQ set that you can use again and again, but I feel like this next one coming out is the same thing. Oh, he's investigating something. It's just like 12 Rounds 3. It's just like Countdown. Yep. It's just the same thing. Change it up a little because I'm watching these things and I'm going to get bored after a while, if you don't keep it fresh. But we'll come back and talk about the main event in a second, but I want to remind everyone to check out DDP Yoga. We all know that DDP Yoga has changed countless lives, and many of the past and current roster have benefited immensely from it. We're talking about guys like Jake Roberts, Scott Hall, Chris Jericho, Gold Dust, they all swear by DDP Yoga. And now DDP has taken it to another level with the DDP Yoga Now app on iOS and Android. So you got no excuse. You can take it with you anywhere. And the cool thing about their app is that you could track not only your workouts, but you can connect it to a heart rate monitor, count your calories, your heart rate in real time, whether you're at the gym, on your DDP yoga mat, or even while you're out mowing the lawn. All the fitness tracking features, including pain tracking, measurements, progress photos, and more, are completely free in the DDP Yoga Now app. And DDP Yoga Now subscribers won't get tired of doing the same workouts because they've added completely new DDP Yoga 2.0 workouts, weekly live workouts direct from the DDP Yoga Performance Center, and motivational messages every Monday from DDP himself. It's literally it's the next best thing to having him roll into your house in the morning, get you out of bed, and tell you to get your butt in gear. You can get these messages every Monday, and they're going to keep you on track. DDP even hosts his own cooking show on the app, showing you how to make healthy food taste amazing. And for a limited time, you can get the DDP Yoga Now DVDs for 15% off, and that includes 3 months of full access to the DDP Yoga Now app. To save 15%, head on over to ddpyoga.com/wrestlinginc. Stop procrastinating and get started now with DDP Yoga.
All right, and so after that we had, what do we go to next? That was the backstage promo. The backstage promo with Kevin Owens. That's
Yes.
which I wanted to mention. I thought this was one of Kevin Owens' best promos on the main roster, where he got in Seth Rollins' face and just ripped into him. It was like totally grounded in reality. Everything he said was dead on. He was a total heel, total prick about it. Seth Rollins couldn't respond. I thought this was just great. I mean, this made me want to see them wrestle more than a hokey wrestling angle would have done.
1,000% right. Love that. Loved every second of it. They're doing good with Kevin so far. I like where they're going with it. I'm a huge fan of Rollins. I like the matchup as far as physically in the ring. Now we're getting some meat on the bone, to sink our teeth into storyline-wise, character-wise, and get us to, be able to, like I said, sink our teeth into something.
Well, and I thought it was all great, except that, if you stipulate too many times that someone cannot interfere in a match or there will be consequences, and those consequences aren't specified, he's going to interfere in the match. No, you're just telegraphing it a little too much, I think, to keep bringing it up again and again how they were. But what did you think of the match itself and everything that happened with that? I mean, where we had Owens versus Reigns, obviously Owens beating Reigns, but we had the interference not only from Rollins, but with Rusev restarting their feud. Matt, to you first. What did you think about the match and the direction that the storyline's going in?
I think you guys all know I'm a huge Rusev fan now. I was happy to see Rusev come out. It tells me they're going to go their own way hopefully with Reigns and Rusev. I pray. And Rusev can beat up on him some more. Keeps him out of the main event. Sorry.
Yeah.
But what do you say? So you said they tipped their hand a little bit. Obviously, that Rollins was going to come out. The thing I didn't like, it really stuck out to me, is when there's a passionate Mick Foley on the mic, when he's really into something and he's passionate, like the storyline with Edge and Randy Orton, when he would come back and help get them all gassed up, all psyched up about their match to go, to the extreme and to do whatever it takes to win, right? You guys remember those storylines. When he gets in that mode, wow. He's always great, but he's really great when he's that invested. Tonight, I thought he with Rollins, the way he was yelling at him, so like he was talking down to his kid. Rollins, that's Rollins' job to come back with something, whether he's right or wrong, whether he interfered or not. He's Seth Mother effing Rollins. You got to be that guy 24/7. And when a legend or not is talking down to you and dressing you down like that on the mic, and the fans can hear that. Nah, I'm Seth Rollins. I can do what I want in a meager voice. Friggin' step right up to Mick. What's he going to do? You know what I mean? That's your chance to really cement that you're a bad you-know-what or you're a chicken you-know-what. One or the other. He didn't give me either of those. You could tell he was thrown off a little bit, I thought.
Yeah, Foley, for some reason, just annoyed the crap out of me tonight. And, it's kind of like, what you were saying, like he can, when he delivers a passionate promo, he's great. Yeah. He was trying to be passionate too often tonight. And for times when it was like, dude, just, you're overdoing it. But yeah, so that Roman Reigns got beat tonight twice, once by DQ and then again. So, I will say this. I think Reigns is better in the ring right now. I'm going to get a lot of heat for this. I did in the comment section, but I think Reigns is better in the ring right now than Dean Ambrose.
I don't see anything wrong with that comment at all. No, I don't see anything wrong with that.
I think he consistently has better matches, singles matches, and again tonight, another great match. And yeah, I loved how it ended. They did enough hope spots that you thought that Reigns was going to win, and then so did I. And going into the match, I didn't. And so at the end, when Owens won, it was just like, man, that was awesome.
Yeah.
And especially with the depleted roster, I think it's so much better to have your separate Reigns and Rusev feud. They could use that to fill the time more than what they've got going right now. And then you got Rollins and Owens, and that could be money. Just it's like what Matt said though. Rollins has got to kind of step up and not just get berated, weeks in. I mean, it's hard to tell if he's a babyface right now, and if that's what they're trying to do, then that's good. But if he's supposed to be a babyface and he's just kind of getting crapped on the whole episode, and when he does interfere, it's just nullified right away anyway. He just kind of they need to take him to that next level.
Well, and it's weird though, because I mean, it seems like both Owens and Rollins are so over that they try. I mean, I feel like they've been trying more to make Owens a little more heel and Rollins more babyface. But I think they get the crowd reactions regardless, and then Reigns gets boos regardless. But I agree with you guys about Mick. But I will say the one thing, when he was getting a little shrill and his voice was breaking, and I think the reason Rollins was thrown, I mean, he sounded legitimately pissed at the end there. He did. I don't know if you guys have had this before, but whether it's a parent or a coworker, like when someone really like loses their S and they kind of get that. I mean, like, I don't know if Mick channeled that through acting or what, or if maybe he was overacting, but I would have been taken aback by that, because that was like oh my God, he's really serious tone.
He did it too much though. He got serious when Rollins accused him of, being sucking up to Stephanie earlier in the show. It's like, come on, man.
But my only thing was that. Oh, I'm sorry, Matt. Go.
That's your chance, though. It's like I learned this with Russo. Actually, I had a promo with Scott Steiner once.
I remember that one in TNA.
Right, and Vince specifically told me going into that. Look, I see what he's about to go out there and say. I've got to say something back, Vince. I look like the world's biggest PUSSY if I don't. And he's like, no, bro. Your comeback is the pay-per-view and the victory and the da-da-da-da-da. That's your comeback. He goes, I was like, okay. So I disagree with him to this day, but that's me following direction, okay? And I don't know, was that planned tonight? And then Seth, was just doing what he was told. Vince was very specific with me about that. I remember that going into that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, everything is so scripted now that I'm sure that, that's how it was scripted and laid out. And Rollins would have probably gotten in trouble if he did anything beyond that. Mm-hmm. I remember that promo with Steiner, because I was like, man, Matt, you got to say something back to babyface, Yeah.
But I'll tell you though, I know there were those spots in the match, but I was pretty convinced that Reigns wasn't going to win, because we can't have another main event triple threat for the title so soon after Battleground, and especially with Reigns, like Reigns, getting sort of just thrown into the mix. Because at that point, why don't they just make a rule? Every championship match in a pay-per-view from now on is a triple threat, and Reigns is one of the entrants. And let's go even further. Let's add him to past ones. WrestleMania 3, Hogan versus Andre. Find a way. Let's get Reigns in there. Make it a three-way match for the belt. Taker versus Foley. Hell in the Cell. We have the technology. We can get Reigns inserted into the match. I mean, they were very smart to, and I was like, they're not going to go, not play that card again too soon.
But that's great that since they do always play that card, that you kind of thought that they probably would here, so that added to that,
I thought.
Yeah.
I thought so.
Well, that's a big part of being the WWE fan, right? Is that you're like, oh, they're not going to do that. No, wait, they could do that. Like, sometimes that's the swerve, right? Is that thing you thought, oh, they're not going to do this again. Swerve, they did it again.
Yeah.
If you didn't like it the first 5 times, the 6th time you're gonna love it. But all in all, Raj, what did you think of tonight's Monday Night Raw? Sort of your final thought on the show, and then we'll talk about some of the other news this week, both with Vince McMahon's injury and of course CM Punk's match on Saturday. But what did you think of the show, sort of sandwiched in between what we saw last night at Backlash and then having SmackDown as usual following it tomorrow?
I thought it was God, really, till the main event, I thought it was boring as hell. It was 3 hours. I mean, it just felt so long. It's 3 hours that felt like 5. But then the main event made up for it. I thought, and there were, bright spots on the show, like Nia Jax, the Jericho promo, but that was about it. So, I'd give this a D.
Matt?
Solid C-.
I thought it was better than last week, but I do have to say, compared to Backlash last night, Raj, I take it by what you said earlier, really feeling like it was one match. I have to say, I really enjoyed Backlash last night. I thought that a shorter, tighter pay-per-view, I know they had to stretch parts a bit because they lost the Orton Bray match, but I have to say, I mean, Backlash last night, I thought was a very pleasant surprise, especially that match with The Miz and Ziggler. I really enjoyed it. But I think, tonight was still, though, this was better than last week's Monday Night Raw. But to me, the hope spot for me at the end is what we've been talking about, that now we've course corrected, right? We've got Sami Zayn with Jericho. We've got a firm storyline there. We've got Owens and Rollins now in the build-up to Clash of the Champions. We've taken Reigns out of that equation now, and we've got him back with Rusev. I feel like tonight at the end, it felt to me like, okay, now they're really recovering from Finn Balor's injury and having to completely rewrite, their main storylines. Because obviously there were ripple effects with that. Enzo and Cass would be feuding with Jericho and Owens if not for Finn Balor's injury.
Yes.
So I feel like now we're getting on track. So that's our thoughts on Raw. Of course, we'll be back here on Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern, myself and David Bixenspan, who, according to Matt Morgan, not me, according to Matt Morgan, Matt, do you want to hit it and say Bixenspan?
Worst last name ever.
Yes. We will be here to talk about SmackDown Live and what happens in the first Backlash pay-per-view. But let's talk a little bit about the other news that happened this week. I guess the big news sort of coming out this evening and today is that Vince McMahon is injured, of course. Wrestling Inc. has the entire story. Raj, do you want to fill people in?
All there is what WWE released is that he got injured while training and is going to have surgery, but will be back at work on Wednesday. So, I mean, the guy is a beast. Matt, I know you kind of got your foot in the door by working out, by seeing Vince in the gym, right? Like kind of following him in the gym and trying to talk to him, right?
Yeah.
Did you see him actually work out?
Yes. And he always wore the same, he'd wear always black. He always wore black sweatpants, a black tank. Well, actually, what he ended up wearing to the ring, versus Stone Cold, and always black sweats, black tank top. Anyways, he's jacked, as you can imagine. But, dude, super intense. I'm talking like really screaming loud from across the gym, intense, like pressing lots of weight. This is exactly what you think he would be doing. It's not a gimmick.
And this was like 15 years ago, right?
Yeah, dude, this is 2000. Yeah.
So he was he's 70 now, so he's 55 back then.
Impressing serious weight. Stephanie McMahon too, by the way. Very intense lifter.
But Matt, did you ever see Vince McMahon sneeze?
Of course not. Vince
no one
sneeze.
has.
Are you crazy? That's a sign of weakness.
So do you think? I mean, you're a bodybuilder, and do you think at his age, how old when you saw him, did he seem too intense with what he was doing, or did that seem just right for who he was?
Because I was a mark in the Vince character I was talking to at this point. I didn't know him personally yet, right? I thought this is who he really is. He is who that character is to a degree, as far as the whole just really veins bulging everywhere and just making loud noises with every single rep he did. He's strong as hell, no joke. I don't know if he's injured because of a weightlifting. That makes sense. He'll be back by Wednesday. I didn't even know about this story, Raj. As soon as you said it, I got very nervous. It was something else. And if it was something else, he would not be back on Wednesday. So that's, in a way, I feel very good news, obviously, if we're talking health versus injury.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised they even mentioned it, because if he's going to be back this quick, why even release it? Unless they're worried that everyone's going to freak out that he wasn't backstage at TV tonight and tomorrow night, but
no, you're right.
There have been other weeks where he hasn't been.
You're right. Well, I was wondering when you said that, is that a camouflage for like a health issue, maybe? But then as soon as you said Wednesday, I was like, maybe not.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah,
So, of course, the other big news, people are still talking about what happened Saturday night at UFC 203. Matt, what did you think of CM Punk versus Mickey Gall and how that all went?
Doesn't do a, wrestlers are tough guys stuff very good. But that's not what that's about. I give him more, honestly, I said this today, I give him all the credit in the world for having the balls to get in there. He's CM Punk. He's got a very big name, very big reputation, albeit in a work situation. So what? When he walks through stores, everybody knows who he is. He put that on the line, in my opinion, by going in there and having the balls to do something he'd always wanted to do. He got his ass handed to him. He's going to pick his, he's going to, get back on his bike, as he says, and learn to ride again, or whatever the analogy he said he used. But nonetheless, I think that takes a lot of balls to do that, because he did put his brand on the line, in my opinion, to a degree. And I think he created a new brand out of this. That's a much more humble Phil Brooks than the CM Punk that we always hear about. This dick in an elevator. He's a dick in an elevator. He's a jerk in an airport. He's this, he's that. I didn't get any of that from him. I think he's a little bit more humbled by this. And I'm a fan, honestly. I want to see where the journey goes. I like to see him keep fighting and keep doing what he likes to do.
Yeah. I mean, he had balls, but it was still, in my opinion, it still seemed incredibly stupid when it was all said and done. He made a lot of money out of it. UFC, hopefully they get a good buy rate out of it, because I think ultimately this made UFC and CM Punk both look bad, in that UFC puts a guy with no athletic background, and it's not like he ended up getting ready. He was never ready, and it showed.
Right.
And this isn't one of the, I know in boxing they have those celebrity boxing things, but those guys are they're not put against like Mike Tyson or like trained pro boxers. So yeah, I just think it made them all look bad. I can't say I respect Punk for it, because I think ultimately because he went out, showed that he had nothing. He was over his head. He just took a shortcut based on his fame. He got paid.
The shortcut on his fame is going back to WWE and getting paid even more than that.
No, if he
wanted, his game.
What is there to respect? That he went out and got his ass kicked and did absolutely nothing?
That, in my opinion, he's now less valuable to WWE if he wants to go back that route.
Oh, yeah.
He's less valuable everywhere else.
Celebrity.
Oh, I don't know, man. I mean,
I think he took a hit.
Yeah, this isn't like Ronda Rousey having a bad night. I mean, he spent, 2 years preparing for this, and I mean, didn't even get a couple licks in. I mean, this was, I mean, I watched that documentary and this was worse than I expected to be. The only thing that I'll say, it's funny because now no one can say that a professional wrestler could not last a minute in the round with a UFC guy. He lasted like 2 minutes and change. But that was awkward. That was like cringe, worry for his safety.
And that's stupidity. If he had any, if he respected MMA, he would know that's what would happen. Having not had any training in two years ago, and to think that he could pick it up and go and fight a pro, that's just stupidity or arrogance, or I don't know what it is. Now he got paid, good for him. But if he truly respected MMA or the sport, he would have gotten an amateur fight. Bellator would have given it to him in a second. They threw Dada 5,000 or whatever at Kimbo Slice. Granted, he wouldn't have fought in the UFC, but at least he would have gotten a couple amateur fights in. He probably could have gotten another, because if they would have put him in with the can, at least he gets some experience. If he truly respected MMA and that's what he wanted to do, that's what he should have done. But he completely thought that he could just cakewalk in and, so either he disrespected MMA and thought he could just come in and beat pros, or he was out to make a quick buck, and his dream was to be get a UFC paycheck.
I don't think he did that for pay at all. I don't think he's going to do it for free either. But real quick, let me throw a different example out there. Myself, all right. I'm working in a medical device field right now that usually they only hire people that have done this for 12 to 15 years of industry experience, right? I got my interview because I'm Matt Morgan, the 7', 300-pound pro wrestler. That's why I got my interview. I knocked it out of the ballpark. They hired me. I'm the #1 rep at the moment, okay, with zero experience. My question to you is, was I disrespectful by using my name to get that interview, to get that job? I mean, to a degree I did, yes, but it was proven successful nobody in my industry looks at me like, oh God, I see you guys so disrespectful. So you see what I'm saying? It's
you could do the job. If a hospital hired you to be a heart surgeon because of your name, and then it turns out you suck, you know what I mean? That's a different story. So yeah, if you get hired for a job that you could probably do, and you know, obviously him getting his name, like, okay, let me put it this way. If the UFC decided that they wanted to make a reality show and they pick 8 guys from different walks of life, like musicians and actors and CM Punk, and have them on this reality show where 2 of them, you know, they get to train MMA and then they get to fight on a pay-per-view, I would have no problem with that.
Yeah.
You know,
that'd be better for
you know, they sign CM Punk gets the paycheck, but to throw him in there against a pro makes UFC look bad, and you know, just everything I said, in my opinion.
My question, and Bixenspan and I sort of stumbled upon this last Wednesday when we were talking about it. Why didn't they get another pro wrestler? Why didn't they find someone else who wanted to try their hand at this to go up against CM Punk? Because that would have been
because it
wasn't supposed to be gimmicky. This was
exactly.
supposed to be gimmicky. This was supposed to be.
Let it be gimmicky your first time, and you know, and then if you can actually do it,
then you're on a slippery slope with UFC. I don't think UFC fans would like that at all.
Then they do the gimmicky thing by signing Punk in the first place. So they go the gimmick route by signing Punk. But then they don't go the gimmick route by putting him against a gimmick.
Find one other guy, you know.
And Bellator would have done that. Bellator would have found Bellator. Yeah, I mean, you know, they booked these, you know, Dada 5000 against Kimbo Slice, Ken Shamrock, who's 55 against Hoist Gracie. So you know they would have done it for sure.
Yeah, I think that would have been at least had more of a curiosity where both guys would have come out looking like $1 million, and then from there he could have taken it and tried to fight some more experienced MMA guys. But I mean, the one thing I'll say though is that promo he did after that was okay. That's CM Punk. That right there, this was his chance to do what he does best, which is talk. I mean, no discredit to his performance in the ring, but it's unfortunate though that he had to have his ass handed to him to get that time to spend 60 seconds saying something that moved people and made him feel something. Because that's what I've seen, and to his credit, I've seen, probably, I'm not gonna say 50%. I'm gonna say maybe a quarter of the people out there are talking about the promo he cut afterwards, as opposed to the ass whooping that he received.
Just that's a great point. I agree with that. Just one last thing, Raj. Not trying to sway you, but just hear me out on this. You have a huge name, one of the biggest names in the wrestling industry, right? All you have to do is just sit back, shut up, go to work, cash that check. Phone a couple matches in, a couple pay-per-view, a couple Mania Mores in, and we're talking this dude's a millionaire. That's it. That's all he had to do for the next 2 years, 3 years, whatever. Made money on top of money on top of money, right? Dude said, no, screw that. I'm done with that. I want to go try this now. There is an arrogance to do something like that to a degree, like me trying to become a jet pilot without any type of lessons and then crash a plane. Yes, I agree. But it still puts his brand, his identity, all of that stuff in the shitter as far as jeopardizing his name brand, his recognition, his fame, if you will, by taking on that challenge and knowing let's be honest, he knew he was going to get his ass worked. Well, I didn't pick up any type of confidence from him throughout any of these specials.
Well, he didn't take that challenge right. There's thousands of MMA fighters that show how it's done. You get in the sport, you learn, the different aspects, and you fight some fights as an amateur, see how you do, and then if you're good enough for the pros, go on. He's 0-0 as an amateur and a pro. So if he's really saying goodbye to the money and he just wants to be a good MMA fighter, that's what he should have done. But he wanted that, there's a reason why he chose UFC as opposed to the amateurs, and that's for the money and the fame, that comes with it. I mean, why else would he have done that?
And he picked Mickey Gall. Mickey Gall's no slouch. I don't know if everyone's ever heard of him or not, but he is good. He showed it. I don't know about you, but showing your ass by going on national television and knowing there's at least a 90% chance that you're going to get humiliated. I don't know. I got respect for that.
I think that's. I guess you got respect for it. I think it's dumb.
You know, to him, this was a better payday. He got to train, you know, where he wanted to, do what he wanted to, have this attention on him, and go and suffer for 2 minutes. He didn't have to lose to Brock at a pay-per-view. He didn't have to take Z-Packs and shut his mouth and put up with, you know, Triple H's crap. I mean,
not to belabor the point, he could have went to Bellator. He's still gotten those fights in against much lower competition.
I didn't know that, by the way. I didn't know that stuff. Sorry.
But Matt, I guarantee
you. I mean, he didn't have an offer yet because he went straight to the UFC. But Bellator would have signed him in a second. I mean, they tried to get Del Rio. You know, they're going for the names. So.
You know, but Matt, to your point, I think if you were put behind the cockpit in a jet plane, I think you'd at least look good for maybe a minute or two trying to fly it. You'd at least have a couple moments where you're like, oh my God, I got this. And then you'd crash and die. But man, for that brief moment, though, that's your time of glory. Punk didn't have that.
And there's nothing about 7 foot 300 pounds that would ever look good in a cockpit.
Depends on the plane, bro. But that's the thing. And my thing with MMA, and we talked about this before, but with UFC, the reason why I can't watch it is like just all this shit once it goes to the ground, it's just boring to me. It's just, you know, it's like watching your brothers in one of those wrestling matches where they're just rolling around and it's just, I don't know, it's not as interesting. You know, I want you guys standing, and at least with a wrestling match, you know, this is where Mr. McMahon has a point in all this. We're entertained.
It's a different stroke. Like I can never watch baseball. I go live. I'm bored out of my mind. To me, you know, MMA when it goes to the ground, I find it fascinating. Someone, you know, so many times because someone could be getting pummeled, they lock in a triangle and win. You know, and beat
Total
someone
game
who's stronger
of chess,
than them.
dude. Ultimate game of chess. I respect the shit out of it. No question.
And there are definitely fights where it goes to the ground, just stays there, and nothing happens. But it's that chess game, and when knowing that anything could happen, I find it fascinating.
Yeah. So anything else happened this week? I mean, Alberto Del Rio had his press conference.
Del Rio's gone. Matt, being all formal here. Matt, what do you think with Del Rio? I mean, he's already done the Lucha Underground route. There's really not a lot of options.
How old is he?
39, I think. 38 or 39.
That's an old-looking
double check.
I'd like to. I hope he saved his money. I'm sure he did. I'm sure he's got plenty of money. That's a great question. I don't know if he needs to do anything at this point. I don't know his situation, his finances, but I would like to think because you know I know he's a huge star over Mexico, many years before he came over. What was his wrestling name over there? Dos Santos, right? So no, what was it? Not Dos Santos. What was it?
Dos Caras.
Dos Santos. Jesus, what's wrong with me? Yeah, Dos Caras. And I don't know. I don't think like TNA is gonna. I don't know what you do if you're. You know, it's a tough spot for him. Maybe he doesn't do anything.
Yeah. I read the translation of the transcript. He said literally that he has a number of matches left in him, and he's gonna, you know, people know what his fee is, and he's gonna do those matches. You know, I think he specified a time frame, in that I don't recall what it was, but it was a year or 2 years that he said he has left.
When you first leave WWE, guys, you have that window where you could charge a lot of money for these indie shots, no matter where you go, especially overseas. You can get like triple your normal value going overseas usually. So maybe he just does that a year until he's done.
Speaking of the devil, I got to confirm a couple things, but I think I'll have more on Del Rio here probably tomorrow morning.
Cool.
And there you have it. And
end up.
And everything regarding the online speculation about Paige is just that, right?
It's just speculation at this point. But she did herself no favors with that story getting out about Mark Carrano and trying to get her and Del Rio to break up. So we'll have to see. I don't know if they'll want to just grant her release. I mean, they always make it tough on people because then anyone can ask for it.
Well, and one last thing before we wrap up. I don't know if you guys noticed the new promos during Backlash and tonight during Monday Night Raw. They're using sound clips of Hogan.
Yeah, I did notice that, yeah.
What do you think? I mean, can we speculate that this is perhaps them easing people back into the idea of Hulk Hogan making a return?
I think so.
Dude, there's the minute in the absolute apex of his heat, not once did I have a doubt that he's coming back to that company. Are you kidding me?
I don't know, man. He said the worst shit you can say.
Yes, he did. Guess what? It's still gonna. I'll bet you. No matter what, he will always be welcome back.
I bet you there's a lot of guys in the Hall of Fame that have said way worse.
Oh yeah, but not on tape, and not who actually like he said what he said, and people are like, oh, but he's not a racist, and then he says, oh no, I'm a racist. Like, I mean, he literally like said,
yeah,
the
but
worst.
You can never trust what someone says when they're screwing their best friend's wife.
That's true.
You had that play. There's no way you just thought of that right now. That's good.
All I know is, the next time someone like Adam Rose gets suspended and is sitting at home watching Hogan on TV back in the WWE, just going, this is bullshit, man.
There's a big difference between Adam Rose and Hulk Hogan.
A little bit.
Well, on that note, let's take things home and wrap it up here. Of course, this has been the Wrestling Inc. podcast, our Monday Night Raw recap. You can follow us all on Twitter, subscribe on iTunes, give it a like or a comment on the Wrestling Inc. website. We'll be back here on Wednesday, myself and David Bixenspan, to talk about SmackDown Live. Before we go, Matt, anything you want to plug?
No, hit me up on Twitter. Hit me up on Instagram. Same address, BP Matt Morgan.
And Raj, people should, of course, stay tuned to the Wrestling Inc. site in the coming days for perhaps some more news about Alberto Del Rio.
Yeah, I think I should have something in the morning.
Excellent. Well, until next time, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you back here on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Take care.